You know, you hear a lot about Trevor Noah and John Oliver, but did you know that Bill Maher has the biggest cable ratings in political humor and satire? And he does for a reason. He goes at both sides. He favors people like you. That's why his HBO show, Real Time with Bill Maher, is must watch, and his ideas about our politics have driven so much controversy. So who better to set the table for what needs to get better than the man himself? I spoke with Bill right after his show on Friday night. Here's what he had to say. Appreciate you being on. I really do. Thank you, Bill.
Always great to be with you, Chris.
All right, so let me get some context for you. Last week, you said many people, both Democrats and Republicans, are anti-American. You don't love America if you hate what it stands for. Explain.
I don't know if I used the word anti-American, but I asked the question, what do you like about America? Because I think it's a relevant question to ask people in this country at this moment, why are you fighting so hard for it if you don't seem to like anything in it? And then I mentioned first with the Republicans, they don't seem to really care very much for democracy. They stood with a guy who tried to have a coup and still are. They don't have a lot of good words to say about law enforcement, which always was kind of a big part of their portfolio. The FBI, they're constantly attacking them, even the military. So what do you like about America? Why are you fighting for it so hard? And on the left, there's just this constant malaise about what a horrible country we are and our sorry history. And yes, we do have a sorry history with a lot to be sorry about. But it's still, in perspective, you know, the last best hope. And we are a country that does change. It has made a lot of progress. So I don't know why everyone has to be that down on it. And I just think we have a lot of problems in this country right now. We don't need to add to it by just having this ridiculous sort of hatred of our own situation and our own country, that there's actually a lot of good still there.
What do you think our biggest problem is?
Well, I think there's always the environment is always looming over us, but that's more of a long term, although it's getting shorter. I mean, we see it, you know, with the hurricane in Florida. Not that hurricanes haven't always hit Florida, but obviously these weather events that happen out here, it's incredible drought and fires. These events that happen are obviously souped up. They're obviously worse than they used to be. And so that is always number one on my list. So I'm kind of thrilled that we finally got a president who finally got a bill passed that at least starts to address this. The more immediate problem,
What's
of course,
the
more immediate? The more immediate one is democracy. That's not, you know, 5 years, 10 years. That's a few years away because, trust me, in January of 2025, Donald Trump is going to show up for the inauguration whether he wins or not.
You really believe that?
That's a real problem. I totally believe
You think he's going to run again?
He's definitely going. Of course he's going to run again. Are you kidding? He thinks about nothing but. It's everything he loves. It's a fight. It's revenge. He hasn't given up on he hasn't conceded the last election. Of course he's going to run again. And if he does, it'd be very hard to deny him the nomination. I mean, his fans are rabid. Now, much less of the Republican Party wants him as the standard bearer than last time, but good luck trying to take it away from him. We know what kind of a gutter fighter he is when he gets into a scrap, so good luck with that, DeSantis. And then when he runs, I mean, anything is possible. I mean, look, half the country just will never vote for a Democrat for whatever reason, ever. So you're already at 50-50 when you begin.
Do you believe that
yes,
we're really 50-50, or do you believe that that is an exaggerated projection of our social media reality that many of us in the media echo as if it were true vox populi, a true reflection of this country?
Well, I don't know. If you break it down by what matters, which is states, because we have an electoral college, it just seems to be a very close race every time. And, you know, one headline I can always predict in early November is race tightens. Hard to predict who. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people in this country who just have their mind made up based on party before the nominees are even out there. It doesn't really matter. 20% less Republicans want Trump to be the standard bearer next time, and yet if it's Trump versus the Democrat, it's a dead heat. That should tell you a lot.
And what do you think about on the other side of the ball? Do you think President Biden will run again? Do you think he should run again?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about on my show tonight. It's a very strange paradox that's going on with Joe Biden right now. I notice it when I talk to friends. The first thing out of their mouth about Joe Biden is, well, he shouldn't run again. And then you say, well, do you think he's doing a good job? He's doing great. He's doing great. We won't run any more of that. It tells you that this country's ageist. And so they just are obsessed with the idea that he's 79 years old. And they think anybody that age is about to keel over. And, you know, obviously, as you get into that age range, the possibility is higher. It's also higher that you're wiser, which is why he has gotten so much done in the last year. Because he's been there, he's done that, he's seen that movie before, he's seen the pattern, it came around again, he knew what to do. He did wind up getting things done that nobody thought he could get done, like having Congress work together on a number of really important bills. Climate change, as I just mentioned. I thought he handled sorry, I got my wars mixed up. Handled Ukraine, I think, as well as that could have been handled. So, first of all, I think he will run again because I think once you are president, you don't give it up. That is a piece of real estate he has been trying to get for a very long time. He finally got it. And as I say, he's been rather successful in a lot of major areas. Why would you give it up? And who's going to take it away from him?
Would you prefer somebody other than Biden?
Like who? Name somebody and I'll tell you.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you the question.
Exactly, and that's the problem that the Democrats have when you go, oh, we don't want Biden, then who? Oh, now you're stumped.
What about the VP?
I mean, well, that's an interesting question, too, because obviously one reason that Biden's age is an issue with a lot of people is, again, they think he's going to die tomorrow, so they are very hyper-concerned about who the vice president is. It takes on more relevance when the president is elderly. So the fact that Kamala Harris is not popular at all is a real detriment for the Democrats. Now, it's not unheard of for presidents to switch their VP choice after one term. It's been done before, and he could choose somebody else.
Would you suggest that, and if so, whom?
I mean, yes, I would suggest it, actually. And I like Kamala Harris, but for some reason, she has not turned out to be a very good politician, and I don't know if she can reverse sometimes a reputation just takes on a life of its own. It's not even the person's fault, mainly.
But who would you pick? Who do you think's better for Biden than Harris?
Oh, I have no idea.
And who do you think Trump should run with? Do you think that there's anyone he could run with that would make him more palatable to you or anybody else who doesn't like him? That's what you call an old school cliffhanger, because Bill had quite a surprising answer to that question, and we're going to play the rest of the interview, part 2, tomorrow night with Bill Maher. Now, you want more Maher? Be sure to catch Real Time with Bill Maher Friday nights on HBO and HBO Max. You can check out Bill's podcast. Maybe I'll even be on it at some point. Club Random. There are new episodes released weekly on all podcast platforms. Bill's going to be doing stand-up at the New York Comedy Festival November 12th here in New York at the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. He's also proof of concept for us. We're going to talk politics, but not always with politicians. Provocative thinkers that make you think. You agree, you disagree, but you get to think, and that's the key. So, how about what you think about what you want to say to me? Agree, disagree? Where's the black suit? Get ready to call in and let me know.